Defects kill effectiveness, and they are a recipe for failure. Okay. It's common knowledge that a defect that escapes into production is 10, 100, sometimes more than 100 times more costly to resolve than a defect that's found very close to when it was created. And this isn't new. Back in 1976, Barry Boehm, who's a distinguished professor and a software engineer, he published a paper in the IEEE journal, and it was simply stated software engineering at the time. But part of this paper, he laid out findings for the huge increase in the cost of fixing defects the further from the source the defect traveled. And the experience of several generations of software professionals since then kind of generally agrees that there is at least an order of magnitude difference in the cost as a defect escapes out of one team and into another. All right. Now, in 2018, the company Stripe published an interesting study, because they did a lot of software projects. And the study had the title of The Developer Coefficient. And in this study, they found that the average developer spends at least 17 hours per week dealing with issues rather than building new features. And that's based on a full work week. Now, we know that developers are not 100% efficient working on work in the meetings area. If we just round and simplify the numbers, we can quickly see how the findings of 17 hours a week working on issues is a significant blow to the productivity of our project team. And so if we round that to about half of their time trying to work, and 17 hours of it's probably more than half, but let's divide up the focus time into focused development and focused debugging. And now we see that we're down to 27% of the week actually working on development. Okay. So we think our project team is working, but only 27% of available capacity is actually going to what we think and what we thought we were funding the work on. And this is not a software team that is destined for success. This is a software team that is on the road to failure. And regardless of number of features, we can clearly see that they're not on the road to success, and we can do some things to change it. Now, let's dive into why we have such a huge cost for defects, and then we can take steps to fix it. So let's run through an example. We have a defect that maybe was just generated by a programmer, and it escapes out of the individual programmer's desk and out onto the team. And then the defect might escape from the team to product management and other teams within the company that are checking out the software. And then the defect may escape out into production to the customer. Every one of these boundaries is likely going to be an order of magnitude difference in the cost to find and fix and redeliver a build that has the issue resolved. When a defect is found at a programmer's desk or even before code is written, or if it's even generated and it was found minutes after being caused, then the programmer can fix it quickly and move on. As soon as there's communication and coordination involved, meaning to the rest of the team, the price for that defect goes up. And besides the technical work, customer experiencing a defect in production, they've got to report the defect and describe it to whoever is working customer service for that piece of software. Then the customer service team has to reproduce and understand the defect enough to figure out if it's maybe a user training issue, or if it truly is a problem with the software and requires it to go back to the software engineering team, or maybe a configuration change. Once the customer service team has exhausted all their available remedies and records, then the severity of the bug has to be elevated and escalated to second level support, which most of the time is someone on the software engineering team. And then the software engineering team analyzes the problem and figures out if it's a configuration issue or a code issue. The defect is then assigned to a particular software engineer who makes the change that would fix the defect. Most of the time spent is finding out the right thing to do. That is the lion's share of the effort. The communication and transitioning between the teams is what takes so much time. And that results in the order of magnitude differences between a defect crossing these boundaries.